The war was supposed to be quick. That's what the Zyar Collective promised, and most of the galaxy believed them. When their fleets moved through the Terran frontier, they stretched across the void like a bruise on the night. They called Earth's colonies soft targets. They called humans resourceful pests. They were right about one of those. Captain Arlen Wex commanded the TSS Resolute, the last ship of the 9th Defense Fleet. Her hull was a map of old fights. Emergency panels patched the scars. The crew roster favored red marks now. The command corridor smelled of burnt insulation and the faint ghost of coffee. A crooked photograph of a woman with wind-tousled hair hung in his quarters. He touched its corner when the world felt too heavy. They held orbit over Luton B3 because there was nothing left worth abandoning. The planet had been a breadbasket once, domed farms and bright markets. Now it smoked like a dying ember, its cities half peeled back by fire. "Enemy formations reforming," Lieutenant Kale said, his voice raw from too many sleepless rotations. He was young to look so old. "How many torpedoes?" "2 functional." "Then make them count," Arlen said. Alarms stitched the bridge into staccato light. Consoles blinked out, then came back. The navigator jabbed course corrections with hands that shook. The communications officer cycled through channels that used to carry old friends. Now they yielded only static and the occasional names of ships gone dark. The Zyar did not take prisoners. They harvested, they burned, they moved on. Humanity had been bleeding for 3 years. Cities turned to coordinates on evacuation manifests. Lullabies turned to drills. Yet because they fought long enough, humans learned to hate efficiently. The Resolute's first torpedo struck the Zyar carrier Vorkal clean in its midsection. The alien hull sheared like spun glass. The second detonated against an escort, venting atmosphere and sending warriors into the vacuum. The damage was precise and beautiful in a way that made the medics sick. Arlen did not smile. There was no victory, only a narrow opening. A new alert screamed, "They're targeting our core!" "Of course," Arlen said. "Helm, ram their battleship, full thrust." Kale's face went white. "Sir!" "That's an order." This was not a clever tactic. It was arithmetic, sacrifice to deny. The Resolute carried 1,000 names in its manifest, and only stubbornness kept those names from vanishing without trace. Arlen had measured every option and found only one thing a machine of war could not calculate: resolve. The ship lurched forward, inertial dampers groaning. For a moment the bridge became a crucible. Sparks hung in the air like cinders. Systems spat and went quiet, and the reactor warbled warning songs. Arlen felt the hull push beneath him, a ship obeying a human decision. He thought of the people lost along the way, a child's crayon star left on a windowsill, a mural painted by a frightened hand in a corridor, a dinner never eaten. He thought of the photograph and the small steadiness it gave him. He wanted those small things to be harder to erase than the Zyar's shadow. The collision was not cinematic. It was grinding, tearing metal into light. The Resolute flared like a new sun, then darkened. Inside, voices cut across alarms, names called, hands grabbed hands that could not return the squeeze. Through the static on the comms came laughter,
brief, raw, and human. It was not triumph, but something closer to recognition and defiance, the sound a species makes when it refuses to be quietly erased. The Zyar logged the event clinically as the Luton anomaly, unusual kinetics, behavioral deviation, moral irregularity. Their analytics could not fold the human choice into neat equations. They catalogued the loss and moved on, but the image of a battered human ship ramming a dreadnought lodged in their records like a splinter. When salvage crews later combed orbit, they found things that didn't fit any strategic brief. A smudged mural in a corridor, a scratched message on a bulkhead, for home, an empty dinner cup on a table, a captain's palm print on a console where he had braced himself. Small ordinaries that, taken together, told a story the Zyar's logs could not translate. The act did not save the frontier, it did not reverse every grave or raise the dead, but it altered the ledger of meaning. The image of the Resolute ramming the Vorkal became a seed. Propaganda pamphlets years later were simple, a silhouette of a ship and the word remember. Rebellions that finally split the collective cited the contagion of defiance as one factor among many. Logistics rot, stretched supply lines, and the moral corrosion that happens when an empire faces the inexplicable. Legends smooth and sharpen at the same time. The Zyar debated in councils and failed to reduce resolve into variables. Some humans would later say the collision broke an idea in the collective, that predictability was an advantage they had relied upon. Actions filmed and spread, then remembered, amplified into ideology. The human laugh that cut through static became a story told in dim bars and training halls to children and recruits, a reminder that some things are worth losing everything for. Arlen did not survive to hear those stories. He never knew the boy who left a starship drawing on a ledge, or the scavenger who would later trace her fingers over the mural. He did not see the banners that rebellions would fly decades on. He touched the photograph once more and let go. Somewhere above Luton B3, the Resolute's hull still drifted for a while, a pitted relic with a faint light that blinked like a heartbeat for a year. Pilots used it as a point to cross in silent tribute. Veterans, when they spoke of it at all, spoke in low tones and told children about the laugh, human and bright, that refused to be the last sound. History records tactical loss, strategic influence. It leaves out the small things, the photograph, the mural, the laugh, but memory remembers differently. The galaxy learned, in its slow way, that when humans burn, they can still burn a message into the dark.